Thank you, Dr. Verma, for giving a nice introduction. Good evening, friends, my senior colleagues, and people from the Cadila Research Force. Well, we always like to have people from research force because we can motivate them to give us newer molecule, newer strategy to help the patient's care. And that's what I think the Cadila is performing very well. And we wish they should continue all their efforts to give the good new molecular, new things where patient can be helped more and more. So as Mr. Raj Mehta is joined, who is I think one of the expert in the vaccine. So in future we expect him to do work on the vaccine on the atherosclerosis and hypertension. That would be a good addition to the armamentarium of whatever therapy we have. So I hope that he will be definitely a good help to Cadila and as well as to the medical society as well as the Society of India. That's what I expect from Cadila. Well, today the topic is about the cardiovascular risk management challenges and solutions. Why we need to discuss all these things? We know a large population in India and across the globe is suffering from cardiovascular events and cerebrovascular events, which is taking a big toll of the population suffering, having larger morbidity, and really mortality is also being. And these are the good big challenges to us, how to improve it, how to reduce the morbidity and mortality. What are the issues which can be discussed? So well, today we are not going to talk very high, we are going to talk very much basics. And what are these basics? What are our challenges? Our challenges are due to increase in the epidemiology because there's changing pattern which environment in which we are living. We should also aim for early detection of the risk factor and the control of risk factor. What it would help us? It will help us in solutions by implementation of the guidelines and providing them the optimal pharmacotherapy. Optimal pharmacotherapy definitely helps the patients if we are able to give for continuously and long time. This is the most difficult part. If you have to give medical therapy which is to be given for a long time, we always know there is always problem of compliance and adherence to the therapy. But goals can never be achieved if we cannot do the good adherence and good compliance. This is what is the medicine. Ultimately, if you give a medicine, we know any medicine doesn't work for more than 36 hours, so you need to give next dose. You need to combine with other drugs. And there comes the resistance of the patient, or for that matter, any human cannot continue medication for a long time. This is what motivation is needed. This is where polypharmacy has to be given in the single pharmacy type of the approach. So what is the changing epidemiology? See, even 1970s or 2008 and what is happening today. Communicable diseases are basically getting under control, and slowly the incidence of the communicable diseases is coming down from 40% to 14%. However, non-communicable diseases are increasing from 36% to 76%. What are these non-communicable diseases? Mostly they are related to atherosclerotic events, whether they are responsible for vasculopathy, means in the form of if there is a vulnerable plaque which can always rupture and block the further circulation, can produce the cerebrovascular accident and as well as can produce the cardiovascular event. So any vulnerable plaque has to be managed in the time. Initially it is always mild. It can become significant and it can rupture one day. And this is where the role comes of the physician, how to modify the outcome of this vulnerable plaque, which we, by virtue of aging, by genetics, by other risk factor in the life, everyone has some plaque which may create problems to him some or other time in the life. We know what is the burden of cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular diseases definitely are increasing, the stroke is also increasing, and we know in all citizens, all across the world, there's a big number of population suffering from the cardiovascular disease as well as a stroke. Almost 5.5 million people die every year, and 5 million people are left disabled because of the stroke. Similarly, in cardiovascular events, we know around 42% of the patient develops cardiovascular event in the adult population when they are followed for the long term. We also know the stroke mortality is very high, whether it's China or whether it's India. So ultimately, if we come across what is happening in our own country, cardiovascular diseases are taking big toll of the patients or human life, and ultimately we are suffering loss of our beloved untimely. So most important thing, untimely death should be avoided, and there has to be some role of the medication. So how can you do? First, early detection of the risk factor of cardiovascular event. In the changing epidemiology, we found rapid urbanization, stress, reduced physical activity, changing dietary pattern. These are all creating problem. We need to improve upon that. This is all leading to the increased number of cardiovascular cases and early onset of the disease. Hence, we have to manage the patient about their risk. There are multiple risk factors which require multiple intervention. There are certain risk factors which are modifiable, like smoking, diet, sedentary lifestyle, obesity. There you have to act very strong. Some are unmodifiable. And there are certain diseases like hypertension, diabetes, dyslipidemia. There is a definite role of drugs. So now drugs definitely need to be given for 1 or 2 or 3 risk factors. So drugs may be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Or 6. This is the main problem. If you prescribe any patient more than 1 to 2 drugs, he always feels how long I will take, why I should take, whether there will be side effect, whether they will be expensive. So this is our main issue which we need to discuss. So cardiovascular diseases are always a cluster of risk factor, and we have to address each and every risk factor. Then we can get the result. They may have hypertension, they may have obesity, their HDL cholesterol may be low and LDL cholesterol is very high, total cholesterol may be high. These all leads to the cardiovascular disease, and around 20% of adult population may have abnormal blood sugar. The person ending up in the medicine which are more than 3, 4 or 5 in the number. This is the main issue where we are in the picture. And unfortunately India has got one bad problem, that is cardiometabolic syndrome. And we all know cardiometabolic syndrome predisposes patients to many vascular diseases, particularly coronary artery disease, as well as the stroke and hypertension, and then related renal diseases. Most of the patients in adult population, around 20% or so, have some or other risk factor. All this needs to be addressed with 1 or more drugs. So ultimately, what we can do? We can identify the risk factor in the patients by taking good screening of the family history, assessment of their body mass index, blood pressure measurements, and their cholesterol screening. And we can always help them to provide them good knowledge about the food habits, stopping smoking, alcohol, and their lifestyle behavioral changes. Now, control of risk factor. One of the risk factors is hypertension. We all know. Around 50% of the population do not get proper treatment for blood pressure, neither they go for regular check. It happens with the most of our colleagues and most of us also. Ultimately, only 60% of the person will have good control of blood pressure of systolic value. But if your blood pressure is well not under control, you have increased incidence of stroke, atherosclerosis will be enhanced, and patient may get coronary event as well as other events in the peripheral vascular diseases and renal diseases. And we know in various trials, good blood pressure control is not achieved despite 2 or 3 medication. Hardly we achieve the good blood pressure control in most of the series as 30% patient. So we need to possibly give 1, 2 or 3 drugs for the blood pressure, and blood pressure should be taken care very well. Otherwise we get all vasculopathy in future. So then we have to implement the guidelines for the cardiovascular risk management like dyslipidemia. Now the dyslipidemia guidelines have been revised in 2013, and new guidelines definitely has given every patient who has got dyslipidemia, either he is a candidate for the high intensity statin therapy or moderate intensity statin therapy, which is around 20 milligram moderate statin, and to reduce at least his LDL cholesterol by 30 to 50%. So you have a choice of atorvastatin, simvastatin, or future is with rosuvastatin. So well, you will choose any statin, particularly looking to the patient's clinical scenario, his tolerance, and how acute is the problem. You need to give him statin, and statin to be given for a long time, and possibly in some of the cases for lifetime. So there comes again problem. Lifetime drug is always something punishment to the patient, but you have to give him sweet punishment and tell him that this is the thing which is going to alter the outcome of the disease and modify his outcome of his life expectancy can be increased. Similarly, every patient who has got a tendency to atherosclerotic event in the form of maybe cerebrovascular accident or coronary artery disease, they possibly have to use aspirin always. However, aspirin cannot be universally or uniformly can be given to every person as a primary prevention. But in diabetic patient and high-risk individual, we have to suggest him that aspirin can be useful as a primary prevention, but otherwise its role in secondary prevention has been very well documented, and every patient should receive aspirin also. For primary prevention, you have to be choosy, but you have to choose the patient that every diabetic and every patient who is in high risk, like a smoker, a diabetic, or patient who has got a family history of coronary event, he can be motivated to be on aspirin therapy. And stroke is very well said. Aspirin up to 325 milligram is recommended, and there is a class 1 indication, and level of evidence is A. And we have to prevent a stroke because stroke presents a lot of problem in the morbidity, long-term care, and increased mortality, and that puts patient to almost bad. And aspirin can also be given to all those patients where you cannot give anticoagulant because of some reason, but a patient has got a history of CVA in past and you want to give him some anticoagulation, you have either, if anticoagulation is contraindicated, then aspirin can be given. Now, American Heart Association always say, in coronary artery disease, secondary prevention strategy is the control of risk factor, control of systemic hypertension, dyslipidemia correction, and antiplatelet activity drug apart from other drugs. And polypill is a combination of several antihypertensive drugs with statin and low-dose aspirin. Possibly people like Ward, people like Salim Yusuf, who have worked upon this, and they have given us a lot of data to favor such combination. European Guideline on Cardiovascular Disease in 2012, also they have accepted that Polycap formula could conveniently reduce multiple risk factors. But why Polycap came in the picture? Just to improve compliance. We know if we give patient 3 or 4 drugs at 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, many of the patients will possibly discontinue 1 or 2 drugs depending upon their choice, depending upon the tolerance, and sometimes just because of the mood they don't want to continue 3-4 drugs, and this has been proved in the premier study. In pure study, when it was a very big study which was done, and we were part of it, and it was a study that many patients who require statin, hardly 14% were taking. Beta blockers was going on 20%, less than 20%. So percentage of diagnosed cardiovascular disease patients using the selected important medicine was never more than 30-40%, which otherwise they should be compliance up to 80-90% to reduce their next event. So learning was very clear that patients need to be motivated to continue all this drug. How to motivate? In Eureka study, there is one important study where many physicians who are treating the patient, even we as a physician, when they come to us, we are not trying to possibly provide the best possible medical management, because possibly we say, okay, your patients are feeling okay, and we may not give all the possible drug. So our attitude needs to improve to evaluate all the risk factor and then continue all medication to take care of every risk factor. So in one of the study in European Society of Cardiology, it was found most of the physicians are in the range 45 to 60% patients are getting optimal medical management. Then comes the importance, if we give the fixed dose combination, how is the adherence? In Empire study, which was done around 2004 patients, and it was found if you give fixed dose combination, around 77% patient will be taking the drugs. If you are only usual care, hardly 23% patients are taking medicine. So this threefold increase in the compliance can be achieved if you combine 2 or 3 drugs in one particular capsule form. And non-compliance and the survival. If your patient was supposed to take aspirin, beta blocker, and statin, their mortality rate is down. But if he is not continuing all 3 drugs, their mortality rate is up. Hence, we need to convince the patient, based on the fact of the premier study, the patient should be in the full therapy to reduce their mortality. Inter-heart study, when it was done in a large population in almost 20 countries. It was found that if a patient has got 1 or 2 or 3 risk factors, their mortality or chances of the coronary artery disease is more. But if they combine there are 9 risk factors, or say combination of 9 factors, the chances of myocardial infarction increases almost 20 times or more. Hence, we need to act on every risk factor, whatever we come across in a given population or given patient, and convince the patient that you have to take care of all the risk factor. So what is the challenge? If you want to aid treatment for every risk factor, basic problem is how many medicine and how many doses. This is a more challenging problem. Hence, a combination of approved drug, a good bioavailability if it is ascertained, and a recommended dose. If you give in a selected cases, you may achieve reduction of cardiovascular event and cerebrovascular event. Thereby, you will and risk reduction by providing a poly pill. The most important question which is often asked to us, if we combine many drugs, what would happen to the bioavailability? Whether there will be drug interaction, whether there will be drug may not act synergistically, sometimes in opposite way. Hence, in a study, it was done when Polycap was introduced. In every molecule was assessed whether the bioavailability is almost same or not. So whether it was Polycap with aspirin, Polycap with Altus, that is Ramipril, Polycap with simvastatin in Zocor, or Polycap in tenormin, that is atenolol, and microzide, that is hydrochlorothiazide. 92% completed the trials, and ultimately it was found the bioavailability was not very different, and patients were getting good bioavailability and they were getting good effect as well. Indian Polycap study, when it was done somewhere in 2009-10, and it was published in 2009 in Lancet, it found if you combine all these 3-4 drugs like atenolol, simvastatin, and Ramipril with aspirin, there was a reduction in the heart rate, significant. There was a reduction in LD level, and there was a good platelet aggregation, antiplatelet activity was seen, and this was quite easily documented. And in both the group, we show reduction of LDL level and similar reduction in the 11 dehydrogenase thromboxane B2 activity. Polycap always conserved the LDL reduction with antiplatelet activity, and there was no drug interaction over here. Ultimately, if you combine all this, TIP2 and TIP3 trial has shown that there can be 62% or 48% reduction in the CHD and coronary artery, and as well as the stroke if you combine all these drugs. So polypill, the benefit is significant cardiovascular risk reduction, improve adherence and compliance, reduce side effect and cost saving. This is what we got from the Cadila. So ultimately, who can benefit from the Polycap? The patients who has got established cardiovascular disease or peripheral vascular disease or ischemic heart disease, person with or without hypertension, person with or without dyslipidemia, and patient with hypertension and dyslipidemia. So ultimately we see large number of patients can benefit, and possibly this single capsule will help many patients. CHD and strokes are still biggest killer. Hypertension and dyslipidemia is still major risk factor. Risk factor requires early recognition, effective control. A new guideline recommends polypill for effective control of multiple risk factors. Hence, FDA recommends the use of combination of pill in individual with overt CVD provides potential to reduce treatment gap that exists in secondary prevention of cardiovascular disease by simplifying treatment algorithm, by reducing non-adherence, and by improving access to medicine in countries lacking adequate healthcare infrastructure. Last, if I want to conclude it, if we have a drug which can be given in combination, definitely adherence will increase, compliance will continue, and patient will continue to get benefit. And all those patients who have got established coronary artery disease or possible vascular disease or peripheral vascular disease or any stroke, possibly you can select your patient to continue him on the polypill-like drug. Thank you very much. Well, a very short thing I'm going to present, only 2 or 3 slides. Ultimately, this particular conclave is for innovation. So one should know what has happened in 2000 new, this 2014, what has happened new. So I'll just give a couple of things which has happened new and which is going to alter the medical science treatment. Number 1, dengue vaccine fever is just likely to introduce. PCSK9 inhibitor for cholesterol reduction will be one of the important drugs. Mipomersen is also on the way for cholesterol reduction in a very powerful drug. These are all 2014 innovation. LCZ 696, a dual AR9 for heart failure, is going to be one of the blockbuster which is going to be introduced in 2015. Antibody drug conjugates for the cancer are on the way. Idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis will possibly get new drug in the name of Nilotinib. Single dose intraoperative radiation therapy for breast cancer radiation is to be delivered in one dose during surgical removal of lump. These are the new things which are going to happen. What has happened new in cardiology? A leadless pacemaker. Without lead, patient will have pacemaker. More new pacemaker has come, where there will be no battery required for the pacemaker. You just implant something like a wrist watch case, put on the heart, and with the movement of the heart, the battery will be recharged. So once you put the pacemaker, patient will never require recharging of the battery also. So this is what is possibly going to see somewhere in 2016. So innovation always help. Bionic eyes, working of human eye and bionic eye, this is going to be helpful in the patients who are having retinitis pigmentosa, where they lose their vision. 80 to 90% patient of retinitis pigmentosa will possibly benefit by bionic eyes. Then new antibody therapies depicted as stimulating immune therapy to destroy cancer cell. So well, I just this new innovation because we are here mainly today talking about the innovation. The few new innovation definitely Cadila is doing. Now my next colleague is going to talk something about the new innovation in the antitubercular range. So I think today we should go with our message in our mind. We should always read with the interest what is coming in new. Maybe out of those new innovation 10, 2 or 3 are going to stay for a long time, and that will help the society and possibly many patients. Thank you very much.